What's up, Marvel fans? This is Stan Series, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing the spoiler review video for Thor Ragnarok. So yes, today in the UK, it has been released. Thor Ragnarok has come out. So earlier today, I went to watch it, and I'll tell you now, it's really amazing. It's funny, the action in it is good, and, well, the characters in it were amazing, who were in the film. Really amazing. And the story for it as well was pretty cool. I mean, it's like mind-blowing really, and it's like watching a Guardians film, but as you can tell, it's not really the Guardians, it's just Thor, but it does feel like that a bit. It does. So I'm going to tell you this now, so I'm about to spoil the film for you. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers now, please leave the video and watch me other Marvel videos or even Transformers video. And when you do see the film, come back here so you can hear me spoiler review with it. But if you're one of those people that you're not bothered with spoilers and you like to hear the whole film, well, let's do this then. Let's get into this. How I do it is I discuss of how the film opening scene, like how does it open up. Then I go on about the hero side of the story. So for example, like whoever the film story is about. Then I do about the villain side, and then I finish it up. And then the last bit I finish off is the final battle and the credit scenes. For, well, what's in the credit scenes. So, let's get into this spoiler review then. So let's start off with the opening. So our opening, we start off with Thor being trapped in a cage in Surtur's, well, realm, we'll call it. And Thor, funny enough, he goes on talking about, you know, how did I get here? And he goes on about what he's been up to. So we find out that he's been doing what he said he was going to do after the end of Age of Ultron, you know, saying he was going to try to figure out what's going on, you know, with the Infinity Stones and who's the mastermind and all this. But he does bring up and says he hasn't not found no Infinity Stones on his journey. So, well, obviously, because we know where the stones are lately, except for the one. And really, he's talking all this to his skeleton. Pretty hilarious. Then we get introduced to Surtur, the fire demon, and the conversation is pretty cool and really funny. When Surtur is talking to Thor, and Thor's in chains, like he's hanging with chains on him, and every time when he spins around and he turns away from Surtur, he goes like, give me a sec, I'm facing away from you, Sars. And it's really funny, and Surtur's like, So, what goes on in the conversation is, Thor talks to Surtur about, Thor's been having dreams about Ragnarok, and he says that you're part of it as well. Look, that's what I can recall. Now, excuse me if I can't remember from detail, well, how they say in the film, but this is, I'm trying to explain what they do say. So anyway, Surtur goes on about like, oh, I will burn Asgard and blah, 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 all that stuff. And pretty that goes on funny really. Now next, Thor says about it, goes on saying some random stuff, saying about you know, stopping you and all that, and he tries to call on Miek the hammer, and well, it's a funny moment. He's like, it takes a long time for his hammer to come to him. He's like, oh, I should have said more words before I did that. Something like that. But he managed to get out. And next thing is, he takes on Surtur's minions, and oh, the action there was cool. Using Miek, and he uses this one move where he makes the hammer spins around and hits all his enemies. Oh, it's pretty cool. Now with it, he takes on Surtur, and the fight is pretty cool. And he defeats Surtur. He doesn't kill him. He beats him. He defeats him. And what it was, and this is a shock I didn't know. Now, you know the horns that Surtur has? Well, it says in the film that he says this is his crown. And it turns out that his head is like a crown. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what happens is when he defeats Surtur, Surtur disappears and you only got his face and the horns. So he does that. But when Thor's trying to escape, he tries to call Heimdall and the Bifrost, but the Bifrost doesn't open. That's when we jump to Asgard and we see Surtur in... No, not Surtur. The Executioner... I didn't mean to say Surtur. And the Executioner... Well, Skurge, what he's called in the film, but he's called Executioner as well. He's by the Bifrost, you know, the portal bit. But he's chatting to two women and he's trying to impress himself with it to show the women that, oh, he's good at everything. You know, trying to show himself, prove himself with it. But Thor gets into the trouble like that, but he does manage to get out. But on the way when he's trying to get out of his Surtur's lair, a dragon follows him, and that is pretty funny. The executioner eventually knows that Thor's trying to call for the Bifrost, and luckily Thor gets out. Now on the way when he comes back, he gets out, but he brings the dragon's head with him, and so he kills Surge's dragon. Well, the Bifrost really killed it. And let's say the executioner and these girls got covered with all the dragon's blood. Now with it, you see the executioner with his two guns, and he gives them names, and I'm like, really? You call the guns like that? But I'm pretty sure I've heard that, oh, he gives names in the comics, these guns he has. And then he says to Thor about, thanks for that. And then Thor finds out about, oh, you know, the executioner is the new guardian of the Bifrost bit, and that's the executioner explains to him about Heimdall is a traitor and all that. So that's the way that the opening scene. So, well, the name does come up with the Bifrost open. So there's that. So let's jump to the hero side of the story before the final battle. So what we see is Thor comes back to Asgard, you know, to give Surtur's head, you know, to put in the vault. Now there what it is, you see, he goes to Odin, and not in this phone room, but he's outside, and they're doing a play from what happened in the Dark World, you know, when Loki faked his death, and it was so funny. Now there, they got some pretty surprising actors there. So I'm sorry I can't say their names right, but the first one, who's pretending to play Loki, is the actor who plays Jason Bourne. Yeah, he was in the film playing being a Asgardian who pretends to play as Loki. And it turns out that the Asgardian who pretends to play as Thor is actually the actor who plays Thor, his brother. So that was pretty cool to see him in the film. Now, if you remember when we heard about the actor who's the main character in Jurassic Park 1 and 2, Sam, there's whatever I can't recall his last name, but I know his first name is Sam, I believe. You might know that guy. He's the main guy from, as I say, from Jurassic Park 1 and 3. He's actually an Asgardian in the film, and he pretends to play as Odin, and he actually is good when he plays as him. And there was, right, you could see someone's pretending to play as Jane Foster, and you got some three Asgardians pretending to play the three warriors. Now, you can see Odin, and we all know it's Loki. If you've seen The Dark World, you might remember, or if you haven't seen it, that's a spoiler. So yeah, you see Loki as still as Odin, you know, pretending to be Odin, and you can even tell that he's not Odin, you know. I mean, to you might think like, start thinking about that if you haven't seen The Dark World, but, you know, I'm getting that. So after the play, Thor shows Surtur's head to Odin, and he tells him to put it in the vault, keep it safe there. Now, with it, Thor actually starts questioning Odin, and the next thing he goes like, I formed me hammer, and he grabs Odin and puts him in the front of him and says, Omi is going to come at you, and he goes, and then next thing Loki goes like, okay, and he transforms to Loki. And really, I was surprised about it. I was like, hang on, did Thor knew this all this time? And I said to myself, he must have realised because how Loki was acting when he was Odin. I mean, Thor must have figured it out, like, I don't know, maybe like in 2 years when he was in space or whatever, but he figured it out. I was like, oh. And also as well, I was surprised that it wasn't like this. When I thought the scene was going to be like when he finds out Loki's alive, I thought he'd be like, brother, you're alive. But no, he was like, Loki, you know, all that. I'm like, oh, he ain't surprised to know his brother's alive. But I think Thor's getting used to what Loki does, really. So next thing is, he tells Loki and really like threatens him, saying about like, where's Odin? And he goes like, look, I know where he is. I'll take you to him. So luckily, they go to Earth, and really what happened was Loki placed him on Earth in some care home, I believe. It was like an old, you know, one of those where the old people go. But the problem was when they get there, the place is destroyed. So yeah, Odin's not there. Pretty hilarious. Now, on the way before they move on to find Odin, Thor gets a selfie picture with two girls, and because obvious everyone's going to recognise Thor. He's the thunder. He's the god of thunder, and they take a selfie with him. Now with it, we get I wouldn't say Easter egg, a reference of Jane Foster. One of the girls say to Thor that, I'm sorry to hear about you two broke up, and yeah, it's confirmed. So Jane and Thor are not together anymore. But it turns out that Thor was the one who broke up with her. Now, I was surprised about that because I said to myself, if they was broke up, I said to myself, I bet Jane broke up with him. But I didn't expect Thor to break up with her, so I was surprised about that bit. Now, next thing you see a circle around Loki, and it's Doctor Strange's magic. So, yeah, if you didn't know, Doctor Strange is in it. And Loki's just gone, it disappears, and Thor's like, oh. And he finds his card on the floor, and it's the address to Doctor Strange's home. And that's when we come to the scene when, as you saw in the end of Doctor Strange, when him talking to Thor, about why you're here and why is Loki here, and you get, if you remember that bit. Then here's the funny part. The funny part is you see Doctor Strange going through some books, and he keeps teleporting Thor, and it's a funny teleport. It's like, you don't see a portal open, you usually see there's like one bit them there, and next bit them in a different location. I'm like, huh. And Thor's getting like, can you stop doing that? And it's pretty funny. Now, part of it, what else is funny is, when Thor's on Earth, he's wearing normal clothes, and his hammer, Olmir, is disguised as an umbrella, and that is pretty funny. Now, in the comics, Olmir did go through a transformation when he's on Earth, when Thor's not Thor. In the comics, it was like, the hammer turns into a stick. But I can understand in this version, like, why it turns into an umbrella, because, I mean, I think it would be weird if Thor's hammer was a stick, because you'd be like, well, people would be like, why is it got a stick? But I think it's better as an umbrella, because you'd be like, oh, it fits with the modern day, really, and it doesn't make it look odd, really. But on the way, Doctor Strange, well, he finds the location of where Odin is, because that's what the credit scene was in Doctor Strange, was about, like, Thor said to him, you have, to help me to find the father, Well, he says about, we're going to look for my father, and he doesn't actually find him, and on the way, he brings Loki back, and what he did was, he sent Loki, like Loki was going falling down, and he said he was there for 30 minutes. I mean, when he gets out of here, he goes like, I was falling for 30 minutes! Something like that. I was like, I was really laughing at that. And he has to talk with Doctor Strange, and oh, the fighting talk is really good. And Loki, with his daggers, prepares to try and fight Doctor Strange, but that doesn't go as well. So what happened is, Doctor Strange opens the portal to where Odin is, and he sends the portal to Loki and Thor, and magically they go to where Odin is. And then, that's when we get our reveal of Odin. So yes, we find Odin in the this random location, like really close to the seaside, and he tells them and said about my time is coming to an end. And I was like, oh, don't tell me he's dying. And yes, he was dying apparently. And he was on about like, I can hear my wife calling and and all that. And then next thing, and Thor says about, will we come to get you and all that. But then he says, no, my time is over. And he goes on about, and he does bring up about the threat coming, and that's Hela, obviously. And now this is it. Now this is the shockiest moment you're going to be surprised of. And this was a shock to me. So, he talks about Hela, and this is a shock what he brings up. So he tells Thor and Loki, and he says, Hela is your sister. And I was like, what? So yeah. So in the film universe, Hela is Thor's sister, and even Loki's sister as well. But yeah, that's pretty a change. Now, this is not what it was like in the comics. No, because in the comics, what it is apparently that Hela is the daughter of Loki in the comics. But when I found that out when I was watching it, I was like, okay, that will fit for the film, because I don't think it would have fit if they kept it the same from the comics, saying that, oh, she's the daughter of Loki. I don't think it would have worked for the film universe. I think it works better as her as the brother of Thor. Well, you know what I mean, like, that's Thor's sister. I mean, it works better that way. But when he explains about that, and really low, Odin after chatting some more, and Odin's gone, and he dies. So yeah, Odin gets killed. So I found it sad, and also at the same time I said, "Oh, that's the second film this year that Sir Anthony Hopkins has died," because spoiler alert for Transformers, he died in that. His character died in that, and now he's died in Marvel. I'm like, oh come on. So Thor gets really angry about it, and he says about, this is all you're doing, Loki, you know, and all that. But then Hela shows up, and I was just one bit I just remembered. Look, Odin did say before he went, he said, I tried all my years to try to keep Hela from coming back, you know, to do what she has to do, but then he said about I failed, so that's why Helen comes around. So Thor and Loki get their gear on, ready to take her on, and then she makes her appearance. And then, well, Loki tries about, let's do a negotiation, and, well, that doesn't go as planned. Thor, as we saw from the first trailer, he chucks his hammer, and what we know what happens, Hela destroys the hammer, but it's set in a different location, as I said. It's set in the seaside where, you know, when Odin and all that. So they changed that from the trailer, and yeah, the hammer gets destroyed. So that's felt sad again when I saw that. I was like, oh man. I mean, we all knew the hammer was going to be destroyed, but it was like sad to see that again. So they try to escape from her, and they open the Bifrost. Well, Loki asked for the Bifrost to be opened, but it was a bad idea because Hela followed them. But Hela hits Loki, and he's off the Bifrost, so he disappears. Then Thor and Hela have a little fight, and then he gets off, and he ends up where the whole film takes place, Sakaar. So he ends up there. Now, I will get back to more about Hela because I said, you know, I'm working on the heel side. But anyway, so as part of Thor's story part in the film, Thor ends up in Sakaar, and well, he goes weird first, like, where the hell am I and all that, and then he gets attacked by these Sakaar alien creatures. They wanted to eat him, and oh, that was bad. But luckily, Valkyrie came to the rescue. So Valkyrie, it's a funny appearance as he makes her appearance. She appears with a drink, and she's really drunk, really. When she walks down from her ship, she falls over, and I was really laughing at that. So Valkyrie has a bit of a fight with them, but most of them she actually kills them with her guns on the ship. Now, funny enough, she can actually use the guns by using her hands by this and doing all that. That was pretty cool. But it was funny. She was trying to activate it, but she was doing that a lot, and that was really funny. So after dealing with that, Valkyrie takes Thor, and as obvious, he takes him to the Grandmaster, and that bit comes a bit hilarious. Now I'm just going to take a pause there and say how I thought so far in the film. So I thought so far from that bit, I thought, yeah, it's pretty good so far. I thought all the funniness is going good. I thought the characters were going amazing as their part. And I thought so far ahead, I was like, oh, she looks like a best super female villain so far. And I thought she's doing great. The executioners, by that time, I was like, yeah, he's got a good... Well, I mean, the little bit I explained in the beginning, I thought he's doing good a bit so far. Even Loki, I thought that as well. And the characters I explained so far were doing good. Anyway, let's get back to the story then. So next thing, we see Thor in the chair, and he's going through by this tutorial bit, saying about Sakaar and his history and the Grandmaster as well, and that was pretty funny. Then we get introduced to the Grandmaster, and Valkyrie is explaining about, I found a contender, you know, and all that. And Thor tried to explain about himself, like saying, I am Thor, and I am the god of thunder, and it's pretty hilarious. Now, with that, he's saying about he wants to get out, but the only way he could get off the planet, he had to fight the Grandmaster's champion, and we all know who that is, but I'll get to that in a sec. Now, on the way, well, before then, Thor bumps into Loki, so it turns out Loki was alright. But it turns out that Loki ended up on Sakaar for a week. And I know you might be thinking, but like, how can that be a week if Thor and Loki left like, well, how can it be like a week later? Because Thor left the Bifrost a couple of seconds after Loki. But yeah, that was pretty a shock. So Loki was on Sakaar for a week and Thor just got there. So I don't know how that works really. How can Thor miss a week? But I don't know, maybe the Bifrost has some weird time confusion or something. It's hard to explain about that. But anyway, Loki, when Loki sees Thor, and Grandmaster says about, do you know this guy? And Loki just goes like, nope, never seen him in my life. And I was like, oh, you little bastard you are. I was like that. I was like, oh, he's up to his tricks again. I know he is. And it was so hilarious. So anyway, before taking on the champion, and we all know what I'm on about, Thor ends up in a cell, and that's when we get introduced to the Hulk's friends. Well, in this film universe, it's not really. We meet up with the Wok guy, whose name Korg, and I'll spell his name out, Korg, and Meet. Sorry if I'm not saying his name right. Meet the bug creature. So we get to introduce these two, and I'll tell you now, the Wok creature is pretty hilarious. He's really a funny guy. And it's pretty hilarious, it is. He's really, really funny. And the cell they're in, it's really funny. Thor was like running and it's like a circle, but it's like a weird circle, like you run for a bit and then you end up back to the same place with that guy, and he was like, what just happened? And he goes like, it's like an ended circle. It's like, you're going to keep running and running, you're not going to stop. It's like that kind of thing, really. It's not like a circle like that. Imagine like it's like a big round, something like that. That's how. Well, I'm trying my best to explain that. But anyway, later, Loki pops by, but well, not really. He just appears in his one of his holograms trick thing, and really Thor and him have a discussion, and Thor's really peed off at him, you know what went on. And then really after Loki's gone, the Wok guy comes by and says, "Go away, you ghost!" Or I think he said, "Piss off, you ghost." excuse me language there. Now, next thing is we see that Thor is getting ready to take on the Gladiator, you know, the champion, and we all know who it is. Anyway, I'll just say the Hawk. And then Thor's just getting ready, you know, to pick some weapons and all that. And he has a funny conversation with the Wok guy. And then next thing, he sees Valkyrie again. He meets up with Valkyrie again, and he learns that she's a Valkyrie. Now, in this, I thought her name was Valkyrie, and it is her name. But apparently, well, one thing is she's an Asgardian. She's like in the comics, as I still believe. And but it turns out the fighter women who she's part of, well, before she ended up with Sakaar, they were all called Valkyries. Now I didn't think that was the name of the people she was with. I thought that was her name. I thought Valkyrie was just her name. That wasn't a woman's fighting group name. But that's interesting. We need to learn. And then Thor says about that, how could you, you know, not come back to Asgard? How could you be here and all that? You know, it's like that kind of thing. So that ended up badly. But next, before Thor ended up in the Gladiatorial, Stan Lee makes his cameo appearance, and sadly, Stan Lee's the one who cuts Thor's hair off. Because Stan Lee, in his role, he's got like a robotic cutting hand, and oh, it was funny. Thor was just going like, "You dare cut my hair." And then next when he saw the thing, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, don't cut my hair, don't cut my hair." And it was so hilarious. And when you see without that long hair, you're like, bloody hell, he's got a new look. And then Thor ends up in the arena, and then that's when we get our appearance of Hawk. And he comes in and he's like, "Ah!" And oh, it was the funniest moment. When Loki, he hears about the champion, and he doesn't know it's Hawk. But then when he finds out, he goes like, "I need to get off this planet." And you could see in that man, he was like, "Oh crap, he remembers what happened with Hawk last time when he saw him." Sadly, he couldn't not leave the planet because Grandmaster came by. And then Thor has a talk with Hawk a bit, saying about, "Where have you been?" and all that. And then next thing is, well, they end up having a fight, and Thor's trying to stop the Hawk. And funny is, Hawk talks, and his first line of the film is, "No banner, only Hawk," like that kind of thing. Because Thor's trying to say, "Banner is me," and Hawk goes like, "No banner, only Hawk." And I was like, oh, I was really like, oh my god, he's talking. And the fight goes on well. And this is funny in the fight. Thor tend to do the moves like what Black Widow did to Hawk in the Age of Ultron. Now, if you don't remember this, Black Widow used this sun's getting real low thing it was a way to calm the Hawk down to bring Banner back. So Thor was trying to do the same thing, but it didn't go as planned. And the funniest is, Hawk does the same thing what he did to Loki in the Avengers, and I was laughing myself. And Loki goes like, "Take that!" And I was like, oh, are you happy for Thor getting that same move like you got? And Loki was just like, "I'm a fan of this guy," because the Grandmaster was like that. And oh man, it was so hilarious. So the fight goes on well. The fight goes on well. But the next thing is, before when you can see that Thor's going to get killed, yeah, because there's a bit I just forgot to mention. It turns out that Hawk's been on the planet for 2 years, and the one thing as well, he's been killing aliens on the planet in the Gladiatorial. So yeah, Hawk's a killer now. Well, I want to call him as he's going to go on killing people out in the Avengers 4, I believe. Well, 3 and 4, but that's what he was like in this film. It turns out that he's been killing some aliens since he's been away. Anyway, Thor sees a glimpse of Odin, and we all know he's dead, but he sees that. And the next thing is, bang! Lightning comes to him, and next thing is, you can see the moment you see when Thor takes down Hawk, but you think, Thor's going to win the fight, but no, he doesn't, because Thor and the prisoners who are gladiators, they all have the things on their neck. It's similar to the Planet Hulk storyline when they got these chips or whatever you call them that makes them a shock, so they can't, so he stops them from escaping and everything. So they have that in the film, but the Grandmaster uses that to stop Thor, and then in the battle, Hawk wins the fight. So Hawk wins the fight of Thor versus Hawk, so he wins. But next thing, you see Thor ended up in the room of Hawks, and you see Hawk in his bathtub, and Thor and him have a talk, and the talking what went on, oh my god, Hawk's lines are pretty cool. And the funny next bit was, Hawk gets out in his bath, and Thor's like, "Oh god, I'm seeing you naked. I don't want to see you naked." And he goes on about, "Great, that's going to be in my head. That's in my head right now." Oh, and it's so hilarious. And it's really funny what Hawk says. He goes on about like, then the one bit Thor says to him, "Oh come on, everyone on Earth loves you," and Hawk goes like, "No, everyone hates Hulk," like that. I was like, whoa, that's pretty bad. The talking is funny, and then Thor gets on and goes like, "What? I'm going," and Thor goes like, well, Thor says that, and Hulk goes like, "Go on and go." And the next thing is, he can't leave Hulk's room, and there's a barrier, like a shield, bumps to him, and Hulk laughs and goes like, "Oh!" And I was like, bloody hell. But it was hilarious, the chemistry these two had. And then next thing we see, Hulk is all dressed up, and he goes like, "Go into practice." That's what he says. He says, "Go into practice." He's gladiatorial fighting. And you can see that Valkyrie and Hulk are friends. Yeah, she has a chat with the big guy. She goes like, "Hey, big guy," and he goes like, "Hey," and she's about, how's your, goes like, "How's your salary?" Goes like, "Oh, I'm alright." They have a little talk. I'm like, wow, so they know each other. So it was pretty hilarious. Then later on in the night, Thor tries to get the thing out. He tries to pull the chip out, but it doesn't work. And then Hulk wakes up, and they start having a more chatter. And next thing, they start chucking stuff at each other. And Hulk really loses it in one moment. He goes like, "Don't chuck my stuff!" And he chucks this axe thing, and he nearly kills Thor. I'm like, Thor goes like, "What did you do that for? You're gonna kill me!" And and this is the bad thing. Thor says to Hulk, "You're the dumbest Avenger you are." And oh my god, I was like, damn, that's hardcore, that is. And then they calm down and, you know, Thor says his apologies. And then this is the bit that got me when Hulk says, like, I can't help it, I feel angry all the time. And I felt sorry for him because I feel like, oh my God, does he really feel that all the time? And I could see that Hulk doesn't want to be an angry guy. Well, to me, that's what he feels like to me. Like, oh, Hulk doesn't want to be an angry person all the time. But, you know, Hulk, he's always an angry Avenger. But the talking on that bit was hilarious. And I thought, they're building a good friendship here and everything. So I felt like a bit sad on that one. But yeah, so far with that point, here's another break. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I thought the Grandmaster bit was pretty cool. Like when Thor meets up with him and all that. That's pretty hilarious. The Hulk scene so far, when I was at that point when I was watching the film, I was like, whoa, he's got good bits. And I thought this is the more Hulk scenes I've ever seen in my life. Because think about it, in the other films, Hulk never gets a lot of screen time, but in this one he does. He gets a lot of screen time. And I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty good. Now, let's go back to Asgard. So, meanwhile, in Asgard, we got the Hela ruin Asgard. Now, and then we see our friend Heimdall. Yes, Heimdall makes his appearance. And using his sword. And what he's been doing is, after the Hela took over, he's been getting some of the people to hide with it from Hela and all that. And he's doing a good job of that with it. He does a good job of doing it. Now, at the same time, Heimdall managed to, I don't know if I call it locate his Thor, but he gets Thor to see what he's seeing, and they have a little chat about what's been going on since Hela went to Asgard, and Heimdall gives him up to date about, oh, this is what's happening and all that, we need you back and all that. And that was a good talk, that was. They had a good talking about that, really. But then it gets cut, but then it goes away, and then Thor ends up, well, he's normal back on the Sakaar. So the next bit is he attempts to plan of escaping, and he asks Hulk to do him a favour. So the favour was bring Valkyrie to Hulk's room and, well, have a talk with her. And when Valkyrie comes into the room, Hulk and her have a practice fight, and she beats him, and I'm like, whoa, that's a good, funny chemistry with these two. And I thought, this is how really good friends they are. Oh, excuse me. So next thing, they have a talk, Thor says, he says about, I'm planning to get out, I need you, we need to go to Asgard, stop Hela. And Valkyrie wouldn't get involved with this. Valkyrie was on about, like, I'm not going to face her, because she does say, like, I faced her before and I failed, and I'm not going back there and all that. So that doesn't really go well. And then Thor does get out of Hulk's room, and then Hulk goes like, Hulk, Thor, stay! That's what he says. And luckily, earlier, Thor asked his Hulk about, is the Quinjet still there? And luckily it is. So Thor goes to the Quinjet, and it's funny when he tries to activate it, but it takes him attempts of passwords, and it eventually does work. And then Hulk comes by and destroys the back of it, and I'm like, great, he can't escape now. And really, Hulk was just saying, Thor, stay! And when he was destroying bits of the ship. But luckily, a recording of Black Widow popped up, and this was the bit when you go like, so that's how Banner comes back into this. And it works. So, and you could see that Hulk was fighting the transformation. He was kind of, in the way, he was like, no, I don't want to turn back to Banner. I mean, he doesn't say that, but you can see that what's going through. He's like, I don't want to turn back to Banner. I'm not turning back. But it does happen. Banner does come back. And Thor and Banner have a talk. And Banner doesn't even realise he doesn't realise what's been happening for the last 2 years. He's like, what's happened and all that. And he was in shock when he learns he's on an alien planet. And he's like, wait, I'm on an alien planet? And it was really hilarious there. But next thing is, Thor and Banner leave the ship, and they try to hide because of what it is. The Grandmaster asked some people to try and look for the champion. That's Hawk and Thor. And bit-wise is Banner and Thor have a talk. They have a little talk about, one thing was Banner was getting stressed, like, oh my god, I'm on an alien planet. And every time Thor keeps saying, sun's going low, sun's going low, sun's going low. And then one bit Banner goes like, would you stop saying that? So it was hilarious. And funny was, Banner was wearing like Tony's clothes, and he goes like, why am I wearing Tony's clothes? And then Thor goes like, look, we need disguises. And Banner goes like, well, I'm not in disguise. Well, it was something like disguises. Why am I disguised as Tony? And I'm trying to remember how he says it, but Thor goes like, well, you're alright, because you've been the green guy for years. They're not going to recognise you. But Thor was hilarious, really. And Banner at one moment, you see him getting angry, and you can see the green veins, and it was like, oh crap, he's about to blow. But no, that doesn't happen. The next thing is, that in a little bit, they get called of a bunch of aliens cheering for Hulk and everything, and Banner goes like, oh my god, Hulk's famous here, like that kind of thing. The next thing is, you see a bit with Valkyrie and Loki are by each other, and because what it was, the Grandmaster told them that find Thor and Hulk, you know, or you know, kill one of you. That was like that. But Valkyrie and Loki have a fight, and Loki even finds out that she's a Valkyrie. And next thing is, Loki grabs her face and he shows her the incident when she and her, well, all those women fight Hela. So, because in the trailer you see that, but I was like, how does that come to how? Does she tell the story, or does something like that kind of thing happen? But yeah, that's how it happens. And you see her failing, and you see what was, because I heard Valkyrie's sister was in it, and you see her get killed. So you could see what happened really before she got to Sakaar, and oh, that ended up badly a bit really. But then anyway, so you see Hawk and Banner bumped up to Valkyrie, and she agrees to, oh, and I'm going to help you and all that. And then she also brings up, well, she talks to Thor and said about what's your plan, and this is where Thor gives the plan really. And next, Loki's all in her room, all chained, and we goes like, surprise. And then they discuss about how they're going to get off the planet, and they notice there's a big giant puddle hole, and Hawk, well, Banner and Thor go on about, we need a ship that could cope to go through that hole. And luckily they find out about, oh, there's a ship that the Grandmaster has. Well, Valkyrie tells them that. The next thing is, Thor has the idea about freeing the prisoners, you know, the gladiators, the rock guy and Meat. Sorry, I'm not saying the creature's name right. So they escape. Well, Valkyrie gets them out, and they start the revolution, because that's what the Rock was on about earlier, saying we need to start a revolution and all that. So fighting goes on with Thor and Loki. They fight their way to get to the ships, and then they have a debrief talk saying about, you know, oh, you know, Thor was going on about you're always going to be like this and all that, and Loki was saying about, oh, I could just stay here, you know. It was like a good moment to feel like, oh wow. And the next thing was funny was, Thor was doing this game called Get Help. What it was like pretending that Loki's being sick or he's dying or something. And it was so hilarious to these guys. He was like, help, my brother's dying. And he chucks Loki at them. And I'm like, damn. The next thing is, you see Loki, he creates a hologram of himself and he walks off. And I'm like, oh, what's he up to? And the next thing is, Loki betrays Thor, as obvious. He sets the alarm to say that Thor's in the ship area. And the next thing is, Thor, sneakily trace one of those shocking chips, you know, one of those shocking things, on the back, and, well, gives him a shock. He's like, it was so hilarious. But luckily, Thor, Valkyrie, and Banner get a ship. They get onto the ship, and, well, they fly out, they do some flying, but they get attacked by the Grandmasters, well, the ones who are loyal to him. But they tend to beat them all, and they win. And they ended up in the wormhole, so that was pretty cool. And then and back at the Sakaar, you see the gladiators. Well, they find a big ship they can use, and they see Loki, and the What guy releases him and says, "Hey, we're getting off the planet. Do you want to come?" And Loki's like, "Well, you need a leader." And I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna make himself his leader." It was so funny. But yeah, at that point, I thought it's still doing good, and I thought the action was hilarious, like what's going on, and I was like, damn, I can't wait to see this final battle now. But speaking about that, before we get into the final battle, let's talk about the villain side of the story. Like, what was going on with them in the story. So, first off, quickly to mention about Surtur, I thought he was great. And I thought about, you know, what he was talking like. And I thought his lines were pretty cool. I thought his fighting was pretty cool with Thor. I mean, sadly, he got defeated by him. But I said to myself, oh, he had his best. He tried his best to defeat Thor. But that didn't go as well. Now, when it came to Hela, I thought her appearance was cool. You know, when she makes her first appearance by Loki and Thor. And she goes on about, like... Well, Thor says about, I bet you've heard of me, I'm the God of Thunder. And she goes like, oh, yeah. Are you really? And I thought that was pretty hilarious. Now, let's jump to when she gets to Asgard. So, when she gets to Asgard, by there you see the Executioner, and you see one of the warrior threes. So you see two of them. You see the big one and the one who wears green. They're there. And, well, Hela comes in, and sadly, she kills both of them. So, yeah, two of the warrior threes die. And the Executioner is alive, and she says about, you want a job? And that's how he joins her with it. So he joins her with that. And the next thing is you see her with a bunch of Asgardians about to face her. And you see the other one of the warrior threes, well, who was the last member, the one who wears the blue. He says, she goes on about who she is and everything. Then that warrior three says about, I don't know who you are, but you better go back where you came from. And the funny thing, she goes like, what? Did you not hear me what I said? Who I am? And the next thing is, the Asgardians prepare to fight her, and she goes like, alright. So she gets her weapons, and oh my god, she took on the entire army by herself, and that was easy for her. She just managed to kill them easily. Oh man, I was like, damn. And also as well, you see her getting stabbed. You saw her get stabbed, but the thing is, you get to learn that, oh, you can't stab her. You can't just stab her and kill her. I mean, it's obvious because she's the goddess of death. So I was like, oh, you can't do that. Like, you can't defeat her like that way. But that happens. But then sadly, the last one alive is one of the members of the Warriors 3. But sadly, she kills him as well. So yeah, the Warrior 3s are dead. And it is sad. I was like, oh no, you've killed them. But it was sad. It was pretty sad, really. But, well, we're not going to see him again. No, unless they come back from the dead in Infinity War. But we don't know. We'd be surprised if that happened. So anyway, next thing is, she talks about, how much the phone has changed. And one thing is, you see her looking on top of the wall, well, on the wall, like this, and you can see the bunch of pictures of the Asgard, and you can see a picture of Odin and Loki's true father, because don't forget, Loki's like a frost giant, really. And you see a bunch of random pictures, and she goes like, they placed this over. And you see her stabbing her knives at the wall. I was like, what's she doing? And then it turns out there's actually other pictures behind it. And this is the shocking twist you learn. So you learn that actually at one point, Odin and Hela worked together, and he was actually not a good guy. He actually was attacking all the 9 realms, and I'm like, what the? And also as well, you learn that Hela used to have Omia, and I was like, wait, she used to use the hammer, and I was really shocked about it. But it explains that she was explaining about, oh, me and my father, we loved killing people and all that. And then it does explain about why Odin turned to be a good guy, like we see in the films. So she says he saw how I was being like, and she goes like, oh, so he defeated me and sent me in prison. So that explains why Odin becomes a good guy, because he sees how she's becoming and he prisons her with it. That's why he becomes an Asgardian king who wants to bring peace and everything. So that's why Odin became good. Now at the same time, now Hela and the Executioner go to the vault, and you see some of the stuff that we've seen in the vault before. And first thing off, she goes to the goblet. You know, the goblet, the Infinity Goblet, what we saw in the first 4 films. She goes like, oh yeah, and she says fake, and yeah, so it's confirmed that infinity goblet is fake. Now you'll be going like, well, hang on, doesn't Thanos have the infinity goblet? Well, yes, that is true, but Kevin Feige confirmed that there was 2 gloves. There was 2 of them. But in this film now, we have learned that the glove, what was in Odin's vault, turns out to be a fake. Now, that's not what I thought. I thought, like, oh, it's the same as the other glove. Like, you can use, it doesn't matter which glove you use with the stones in. But no, turns out to be a fake. So, I was pretty shocked about that. The next, now, I can't remember what it's called, but do you remember the ice box that, what was in the first Thor film, what the Frost Giants were trying to steal, and then Loki used it later? Oh, excuse me. That made an appearance. And then next you see the Tesseract, so yes, the Space Stone makes an appearance. Oh, and I sort of forgot as well, the Time Stone does make an appearance as well, so you see Doctor Strange wearing the Eye of Agamotto, so yeah, 2 stones make an appearance in the film. Well, you don't see the stone, you just see the, well, you just see the what the items they're in. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then you see, you know, Surtur's head, and then you see this flame. I can't recall what the flame, this fire flame was called, but it was something that involves that will kick what is involved with the Ragnarok thing. But she grabs it, and she grabs one of the. She makes this weapon, and she really just makes a hole in the ground in the vault, and you learn really deep. There's like a burial with all the dead Asgardians, and also you see the wolf. Yes, Fandral wolf, I believe you call it. And what she does, she uses this flame and she brings them back to life. And you see the flame turn green. I was like, oh damn! And it does, and you do not find out like, oh how, because in the trailers you see her with the army, and I was curious like, how does she get the undead army? But that's the way how she gets it, and I was like, damn. And also with it, she brings her wolf back to life, so I was like, oh boy, the wolf's back from the dead. That was funny. Now, later on, before the final battle, we see that Hela's talking to the Executioner, and she says to him that, what's your big deal, you know, what's your big deal with it? And he goes on about, oh, I just want to prove myself and everything. And then next thing is, she creates the axe, what the Executioner has in the comics, and she gives him that name, the Executioner. She goes on about, oh, I was Odin's Executioner, but now you're my Executioner. And oh, I was like, damn, that's how he gets the name. The next thing is, like, in the part of the story, what her plan was, as I explained, when her and Odin would like try to take over all the 9 realms, that was her plan really. But the thing was, sneakily, Heimdall, before he made his appearance, you see him fall on appearance, he steals the sword, so the Bifrost could not be used. So the whole bit of the story was she was trying to get the sword back so she could open the portal to the 9 realms really. Well, to jump to the other 9 realms, but that's what her plan was to get the sword back so she can open the portal, so she can release her army and take over the 9 realms really, to start the Ragnarok really as well. So part of it, she believes that one of the Asgardians have stolen it, because what it was, there was Asgardians who refused to call her the Queen of Asgard, because that's what she was trying to do as well. She wanted to have the throne of Asgard, so that's what part of her plan was. But she kind of did become queen a little bit. But then at one point, you were going to see like the Executioner was going to kill this Asgardian woman, but the husband of hers blurred out and said, "Don't, I know where it is." So Hela and the Executioner find where Heimdall and the Asgardians were hiding. Well, you think that, well, it was they hiding, but it turns out they were gone. So that was pretty bad. Now, with all the Hela scenes and the Executioner's bits, I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. I thought those bits, I thought they were awesome. I thought her character's interesting to me, and I was like, she's got a good character in this. I thought her story in there as well was pretty amazing. Even the Executioner's, his bit was good. Let's talk a bit about the Grandmaster. I nearly forgot about him. His part, yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was funny. I thought he was hilarious. I I thought he was actually a great character. But the sad thing was, it was I found it sad that I did want to see in the film that he contacts the Collector, because if you didn't know, him and the Collector are brothers, and I was like, oh, I want to see a scene when he calls him and they have a little chat so I can know what I'm like. But no, you don't get that. But in the film, you see that he sees his cousin or uncle, he says, but he just kills him. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe he just killed one of your family relatives. And I'm like, I can't believe he just did that. But I can't really say much about the Grandmaster, but that's all I just really say, really. I thought Jeff Goldblum, I think I said his name right, yeah, I thought his performance as him was good. I thought he did a great job, and I hope I see him again in the future. That's what I'm saying now. So, anyway, let's jump to the final battle then. The final battle of the Thor Ragnarok. So, luckily for Hawk, well, who's banner with him for a while, and Valkyrie, they managed to go through the wormhole, and they get back to Asgard. And then Thor comes up with a plan saying about, like, I'll get to the phone and you two deal off the baddies and all that. And luckily, Thor does go to the throne, and he actually sits on it using the Odin's stick, and he's doing, and because he said about, I'll distract Hela from attacking the Asgardians, and you, as I say, you protect them, really. So yeah, Hela goes to Thor, and they have a little chat about with it, and Thor goes on about, he goes on a little bit about, talks about a bit with it, and then next bit she goes on about, get off my seat, and next thing they start having a fight, really. And their fight was pretty cool, really. It was brutal, really, like Basher, Bull, and everything. And I was like, damn. Now when it came to Valkyrie, and she finally put her Valkyrie clothes back on, the white stuff, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. And really, she takes on the army, the dead army, but the weapon doesn't go well what they have on the ship. And then Banner goes like, I need to turn into the Hawk, because in the film he goes on about, he's worried about turning back to Hawk, because he says, if I turn back into him, I might never, come out. Excuse me. Well, I may never get turned back to be me again, because that's what he was worried about, because he says, if I was stuck in the Hawk's body for 2 years, he might have it again, really. Because in the funny line he says about, he's like, Hawk got the keys to the car and I was the back of the boot. I was like, well, that's a funny way to explain it. And now, the funny part of the thing was, Banner and Valkyrie, they were laughing, and he was all like, do I know you? And she goes on about, do I know you as well? And I was like, oh, come on. I was like, how can Banner not see Hawk's memories and go like, oh, Hawk knows you, so I should know you as well. So I thought that hilarious. But anyway, Banner jumps off the ship. Before he jumps, Valkyrie goes like, what are you going to do? And he said, you're about to see. And you thought, oh, it's the perfect moment. When he jumps off, he turns into Hawk. Because at the time, you see the wolf, and what it is, the Asgardians and Heimdall, they're wanting to the Bifrost, they're going to use the portal to get out, but the wolf stands in their way, and he's going at them. But then Banner comes out of nowhere, drops onto the bridge, you're like, and he's like, really, you haven't turned into Hawk? And at that moment, I think in his head, Banner was going like, oh shit. Like, oh crap, I'm going to die now. But don't worry, before the wolf touched one of the Asgardians, Banner's Hawk, and he has a fight with him. And the fight is pretty sick. Now, back to Hela and Thor. The fight really goes bad. And the bad thing is, Hela cuts Thor's eye, so yeah. So Thor loses an eye. And it's on the same side where Odin lost his eye, so you'll be like, damn. And then even she stabs him in the arm as well. Stabs him in the back, and I'm like, bloody hell. That is bad. And I was like, oh my god, I hope he doesn't get killed here. But obviously he doesn't. Excuse me. Now back to the bridge. You see, they're like, oh, we got no hope to beat them. But luckily, Loki and the gladiators come by, and Loki just says, your king has returned. Well, or like, your savior has returned. I was like, really? You want to say that after what Asgard found out you were pretending to be Odin for the last 2 years? Well, no, more than that, but you get what I mean. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But next, yeah, the gladiators have a fight with the dead army, but it looks like it's not doing good, but well, you get one of those films like, oh, it's not going well, but then something magical happens, and that's what happens. So you see the Thor sees Odin again, and the next thing is, you see Thor talking to Odin, and he goes on about, I can't beat her, I'm weak and everything. And Odin goes like, about, because Thor was saying about this lightning, because in the film you see like he's trying to activate, he's got this lightning like trying to be activated. But Odin says to him like, you have the power of the lightning, and he says about, and when he bugs about, and well, Thor brings up about, I can't defeat her without the hammer. And Odin goes like, the reason you had the hammer was to control your lightning powers. And it was like one moment saying about, you don't need this to use your power. And it was like a touchable moment. But the next thing that happened was, Thor activated the lightning powers again and kicks Hela's butt really. And the next thing, he jumps to the Bifrost and he really beats a lot of the dead warriors. And oh, it was hilarious. Pretty cool. Now, really, the Executioner makes a run to the ship, and that's what the Asgardians and Heimdall were doing. They were all getting off the ship because, really, they were leaving Asgard. They were like, let's get out of Asgard, and that's what was going on. Now, if it was, you might think at that point, like when everyone got on the ship, you'd be like, oh, they're gonna get out easily. But no, Hela uses one of her spikes and traps the ship really. And then you see the dead are getting on the ship, and you see the Executioner is going like. It's like that moment he's thinking of, should I save him or should I just be a coward and just stay on the ship? But no, he makes the hero, he becomes a hero and he kills the bunch of the warriors. Well, the dead fighters. And I was like, whoa. And he was using his guns, I was like, that's pretty cool. But sadly, Hela killed him. So yeah, the Executioner is dead. And I was disappointed, I was like, oh, why'd you kill him? Because I was like, oh, I wanted to see him in the future. Because now, you're never going to see him with their chances if they ever bring that woman in. I'm like, you've ruined it for me. I'm like, you're never going to see him with her now. I mean, not in a love way, but partnering up way. But that was pretty sad. But then, on there, you see Thor, Valkyrie, Loki, and Hawk on the Bifrost Bridge. Oh, but I'll say, Hawk wins the fight against the wolf. And what happens is, the wolf falls off the water and he really falls off Asgard, so the wolf gets killed. Oh, excuse me. But then next thing they go like, oh, we can't beat her, how are we going to do this? And then Thor brings up the idea saying about, get Surtur's head and place it into that fire, and this is the shocking bit. He asks Loki to go to the vault, and I was like, oh no, that's where the Tesseract, the space stone is. I'm like, what have you done? And this is what happens. When Loki goes there, when Thor and Valkyrie have a fight with, Hela, even Hawk. He goes to the vault, he grabs the thing, but he looks at the Tesseract and he'll like, don't you think about it, don't you think about it. But you don't see what happens. But next thing you see is, he places the head on the fire and Surtur comes back. And when he comes back, he's like a giant. And he really destroys Asgard. Now really, and also he stops Hela. So Hela tries to stop him, but doesn't work out. And Hela, she actually gets defeated. You see Surtur's sword stabbing when Hela's on using one of the spikes to, well, a big spike really to get to him. But he destroys it. And you see there that it looks like, oh, he stabbed Hela, but, well, I'll say for now, I don't know if Surtur did kill Hela, but for now, I'm going to say, I think she's alive. I don't think she's dead. But I think she'll come back. But I don't know. But I don't think it does. I don't think it means, oh, she's dead. But then Valkyrie and Thor were about to leave, and they were saying about, what about Asgard? And saying about, no, we need Surtur to destroy Asgard. Because what it was, because Hela, because she was getting stronger, and the reason she was getting stronger because of Asgard. So his plan was, if he destroyed Asgard, then her power won't grow more. And things when he was chatting to her, the next thing, Hawk, well, I remember now, Hawk wasn't really fighting Hela, but what it was, Hawk came out of his fight with the wolf, and he goes to Surtur, and he has a fight with him a bit, and Thor's like, no, Hawk! And next thing was, Hawk doesn't really beat him, he gets thrown to the Bifrost, and Thor says, for once in your life, man, don't fight him! well, it was like, use your head for once and don't fight him. And Hulk goes like, but he's a big monster. He's a big monster. And I was like, oh, come on, Hulk, just leave a fight for once. But don't worry, they get off Asgard, and you see Surtur destroying the Asgard, and he actually does destroy it. And you see every character on the ship, and it's like, oh my god, it's like them seeing their world being destroyed. And this is the funny part. The what creature says about, man, and all, he goes on with some words about, I can't believe it, all this, like that. And he says about, this could be a place for all aliens and people to live. We can live in harmony and everything. And the next thing, Asgard is destroyed. The whole Asgard is gone. Even the surface, it's destroyed. And he goes like, oh. And in that moment, you feel like, oh, that's an awkward moment. He was making a speech about, oh, we can make a peaceful place here with a bunch of species. And when he's gone, it's like, oh, damn. Embarrassment moment, I think. I think it was like a embarrassment moment. Or like, oh, awkward moment. But, yeah. So, what happens is, every Asgardian is on the ship, on this alien ship, and I'm like, oh boy. I was like, oh boy, what's going to happen to them now? And the next thing is, you see Thor comes by, and he's now the king of the Asgardians, and you see him having an eye patch now. But it's similar to Odin's, but his is a silver colour, so he's got an eye patch now, so he's lost that eye. And then he sits on the chair, and he goes on about, Heimdall says to him, where to now? And he says about, our new home is Earth. And yeah, because I found out in the comics, eventually, every Asgardian lives on Earth, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And it's funny, you see Thor turns around and sees a bunch of Asgardians, he goes like, he waves at them, I'm like, come on, Thor! Oh, and before it entered the credits, the Korg, I'm sorry, I'm still saying his name wrong. Now, he's carrying Miek because what it was, Miek, it turns out he's got like a robotic body. I mean, he ain't a robot. He's actually a little insect, but he has like a nano suit like with robot arms and legs, but they get destroyed. And the Rock's hoarding him. And next thing is, he says about, oh, Miek's already dead. And I was like, what? You mean he's been dead all this time and you've been hoarding him? He's like, yeah, he died and all that. And Thor was like, oh. And then next thing is, he wakes, he's alive, and he goes, oh, he's okay, he ain't dead, everything. And I was like, come on, man. And it was so really funny. Even Thor was like, and then that was the end of the film, and I said, and really, that was pretty cool. I thought the whole film was really hilarious. I thought the story was good, as I said, the characters and how it was set. I was like, and the atmosphere, I was like, brilliant. I thought it was a good Thor film. Oh, it was pretty hilarious. So now we've talked about the whole film. Let's jump to the credit scenes. So our first one. Oh, hang on. There's something I forgot to say before we get to that. Now, before the end part where Thor goes to the phone, you see Loki going to the room where Thor might be sleeping, and Thor says about, oh, I bet you're not really here to say thank you. And what it is, he chucks something at him, and really, Loki grabs in, and Thor's like, oh, you are here. Because that's what he did in the film, when he kept chucking some stuff at him, because he was like, oh, are you really there or not? So, yeah, they have a little talk, and it's pretty good. So anyway, let's jump to the credit scenes. So first off, we see Thor and Loki talking when I'm on the ship, and Loki talks to Thor about like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea I go to Earth, after what I did in the, like when he did in the Avengers. And then Thor goes like, oh, don't worry. I mean, I'm Thor. Everyone loves me on Earth, so you're going to be okay. And then he goes on about, I think everything's going to be okay now. And the next thing is, you see a darkness, like shadow coming, and you see Loki and Thor's head like, it's moving up, and you'll be like, oh, what's going on? And next thing is, you see a ship, and I was like, oh, is that Thanos' ship? And sadly, it just cuts there and you don't see who's on the ship. But that's the first credit scene. Now, I want to discuss about that one. Actually, no. Let me talk about the second one first, and I'll discuss about that bit. So the second bit was, it was just a funny scene. You see the Grandmaster, and you see him like his ship crash onto the junkyard bed, and with these two women, and you see a bunch of these Sokovia scrap, well, people who were about the junkyards who were going to eat Thor, but they were, it looks like they want to eat him, and And what it was, the Grandmaster gives a cheers to them, saying about, hey, well done for the revolution, all that. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're about to get your ass kicked there. But he did bring a funny moment there. I was like, that was hilarious. So, let's jump back to the first credit scene then. So, when I saw the ship first, I was like, oh. And in my head, I said, it's Thanos. It's Thanos. And it's obvious it has to be that, because if you seen the if you did manage to saw that trailer for the Infinity War, what came out of that Comic-Con that time, well, I know it wasn't a good quality on the YouTube, but if you did caught it before he got took down, you saw that Thor was floating in space and he bumps to the Guardians. Well, I thought first that happens like, oh, after he defeats Hela, he gets chucked, he's in space, and well, then the other characters were like, oh, on that ship, really, when you think about that now. But no. I think how it happens now is, it looks like Thanos destroys that ship, and that's how Thor ends up floating in space and bumped to the Guardians. Now, also, really, I think I know what's happened. Now, back to the bit when I said about Loki was in the vault, and you saw the Tesseract, and you know what I'm going to say here? It's obvious that he has talked the Space Stone with him. I mean, come on. It has to be obvious, because in the Infinity War trailer, you could see Loki with the Tesseract, and you can see him, he's about to give it to someone, and it's obvious he's giving it to Thanos, and it's obvious that he stole the Tesseract before Asgard was destroyed, so, yeah. So, obvious that's what's going to go on there. Now, also with it, I said to myself, I wonder if Loki sent the signal out to Thanos and said, I've got it, come and meet me. And that's why Thanos' ship is by the ship where all the Asgardians and those aliens are. I can explain, maybe that's what's going on. And maybe that would explain of how does it come to be that, you know, Loki holding the Tesseract like that, well, the Space Stone to give to Thanos. So that would explain how that scene's going to happen. But I found it sad, because I thought, when I saw the ship, I was like, oh, please, I want to see a glimpse of Thanos. I want to see the glimpse of Thanos. But no, it went off. I was like, oh, god damn it. But I said to myself now, I wonder if that scene is a scene for the Infinity War, the next Avengers film. But I don't know, maybe it might be. Maybe they might play that scene again in the film. Or it might just be like, oh, it'll just jump to the bit when the ship's there and everything. But now I've said to myself, I'm wondering if that will be the opening scene in the film. Like, it'll open to where Thor Ragnarok left off, you know, with that credit scene with the ship and all that. And then you'll see the attack happening, and, you know, well, we can tell what's going to go on. Thanos is going to beat Thor, punch him into space, and Loki gives the Tesseract to Thanos. That's what I could see. Now, on that, now I looked up as well, and it says that I learned about Thanos does have ships, actually. He has his own ship. I can't recall what the ship's called, but it does have a name. It's the Summoner or something like that. But I looked it up. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting if that is his ship. But, I mean, obviously, that has to be Thanos, you know, and that's his ship. And also, that's a good way how to kick off Infinity War. And I thought, that's a good way. I mean, I thought how he was going to play. Like, I thought it would be like, you see Thanos, and he says about, oh, the Tesseract is finally with Loki, and he goes on about, I'm about to go and get it, and you can see that, and I thought as well, hey, maybe we might get the glimpse of the Black Order, and all that, but no, that doesn't happen. But I did thought as well, I thought, part of the credit scene, to kick that off, I thought there might be a credit scene when he reveals that, you know, is Hela alive or not, but, nah, it doesn't really. I was like, shocked about that bit as well. But, I don't know. I think we might have to wait till Infinity War to see that. Did Hela survive or did she not? But my high chances is she's alive, because there's been rumours that, oh, she's possibly the Death in this universe. You know, she's replacing the Death, you know, the Death character who's in love, well, who Thanos loves. Because there's rumours going around that saying that, oh, she's Thanos' love interest, Hela. But I don't know yet. I don't know if they're going to change it into Hela's the Death for, you know, Thanos' love interest or not. But I'll wait till, if they confirm it, or wait till Infinity War kicks off. We're on the way to see. Oh, and the last thing they did was, they pulled up and says Thor will return in Avengers Infinity War, and I was like, oh, are they going to show us the trailer? But no, no trailer for Infinity War. I was like, damn it. So yeah, that's my spoiler review. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this is a long video, and I'm sorry if I bantered too much really, but this is my way how I look. This is my way how I do me spoiler reviews. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, you might like it, you may not, but it's my best how I do me spoiler reviews. So, if you have seen the film for yourself, leave a comments down below. Like, what did you think of the film? Did you think it was good? Did you find it interesting? And also, leave your comments down below. What was your favourite scene in the film? And also, give me your top, well, your famous character you loved in the film, and also give your theories on the first credit scene. Do you think that was Thanos' ship and was he on there? Or give your theories about that credit scene, and also give me theories of what you've learned from the film and bits, well, you learned from the film, you know, the history of the past of a character, you know, well, you know what I'm on about. Bring some comments below. I do love to discuss about the film, really. About how we enjoyed it and all that. You know what I'm on about. Also, give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Also, make sure you share this out to your friends, you know, share this out with your friends, you know, so I can get more viewers and subscribers to this channel. And if you're new to this channel, this is what I do. I do Marvel and Transformers Cinematic Universe. I do like the news, I do trailers, I do clips, TV spots, and like I'm doing now, a spoiler review. Oh, and yeah, that's one mic. So, news, I'll get involved, I try and find some good news and do those. Trailers and clips, I do those, but if they have spoilers, I avoid those. Same with the TV spot, if there's a spoiler, I avoid those before a film, because I don't want to be spoiled before the film's out. And spoilers, as you can see, I do those when the film's out, even if it's a Transformers or a Marvel film. And last but not least, if you want to see my last Marvel video, click here, my channel. Make sure you click the bell so you can be notified when when my new videos are up. And here to see me my last Transformers video with it. So that's it really, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this spoiler review video. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon. Peace.